Hello, my name is Jonathan de la Cruz. I am the director of Mariachi Perla del Medio Oeste here at the LAMC at Indiana University. In Texas, because I'm originally from Texas, I was in a group for 2 to 3 years, and when I got here, and I noticed that this is one of the biggest university music programs in the nation, I realized that there wasn't any Mexican music or any kind of mariachi or anything of that sort. So after my first semester here, I decided to start a mariachi myself. Now, I didn't know anything about getting it, some help from the university or anything of that sort. So the first thing I did is contact a few people that were just musicians that I could somehow, I knew that I could figure out how to teach them how to play specific rhythms, even though I didn't play guitar or vihuela or guitarrón. But I had been around that kind of music a lot of my life, to the point that where I knew what it's supposed to sound like and what the strummings were supposed to look like. And so basically, again, I asked a bunch of my friends, figured out how to have rehearsals at my place without my neighbors complaining. And then we kind of just went from there, from my living room. Eventually, I contacted La Casa, which is a Latin Cultural Center. That's basically a venue for Latinos to come together, and they have a lot of outreach programs from freshmen to grad students. And I just showed up and it literally went like this. I said, "Hey, my name is Jonathan, and I'm starting a mariachi group." And they said, "Great, we've always wanted this. Here's a starting budget, and here is a grant if you want to bring a clinician." And it literally went from my living room from one day to having some kind of starting budget to having some kind of grant through them to bring in my mentor, Antonio La Rosa from Texas. And then it skyrocketed from there. I mean, there were some ups and downs. It was a lot of giving calls to restaurants. "Hey, do you need a mariachi? This is how much we need to make sure that like the students make a little bit of money, like kind of a cover charge or something like that." And we finally got some kind of gig at a restaurant called Los Three Amigos, and every 2 weeks we would play there. At first we had 8 to 10 songs, and they're like, "Well, we need you for an hour or an hour and a half," and it was like 8 songs for an hour. And it's not the type of music where you can really improvise or add a chunk of riff or something. It doesn't really work like that, especially through most arrangements. I mean, you can, but through most arrangements it doesn't work like that. So it started as the group playing those 8 songs, and then going to the other side of the restaurant and then playing those other 8 songs again. And then if we needed like 10 more minutes, we would play 2 of the same songs that we already played. And that's kind of how it started. It was to the extent that there wasn't a lot of people that knew about that type of music, but they were interested in the type of music. And I had mentioned this earlier. The first group had a Muslim person, a Korean American, a person from Panama, a person from Canada, a person who played in a fiddle band in Chicago with Irish descent, and then it was me. And nobody knew Spanish. I believe one person, did know Spanish, but they never sang in Spanish. So I sang all the songs. So at the rehearsals, I sang all the songs. I didn't really play much trumpet at the time. And that's kind of where it started. And from there, now we are with about a 15-piece group. And I don't have to sing all the songs now, which is great. We have a diverse group of people from different backgrounds, but at the same time we have people from different ages. We have someone who's the head of the Spanish department in it. Also, we have some doctoral students. We have freshmen, sophomores, seniors, and then we have a 13-year-old violin player that wanted to join, and he's there in the group. So as far as from being diverse now, it's just even wider in the spectrum of age, which is great. With that being said, one of the best things that I've enjoyed is, for example, I know that this 13-year-old is going to remember this when he's 20 years old, 25 years old, 30 years old, that he did this when he was 13 years old. And aside from that, all the other people that are new to this kind of music, we have people who are Hispanics, but they've never touched the music or this type of style or things like that, so they're getting a whole kind of full circle of the culture, part of the culture, which is the music, which is very important. And so a lot of them are even more enthusiastic because now they're learning about the kind of music of their particular culture. And I think that's also something that's really neat. For some people, they decided, hey, I really like this group, but I don't understand what you're saying when you're singing, so I'm going to go take a Spanish class. And some people are doing that. So yeah, I think it's been enjoyable. Of course, there are pros and cons to everything, but overall, it's been extremely enjoyable. That's where we are now with the group. I'm not sure if it's correct for me to say represent or move forward. I think if anything, it's helping people be aware that there's different kind of music and a different kind of culture. I'm not sure if there is something that someone has to do to be able to represent the culture in a community, but basically, yeah, I'm not making people, but people are becoming more aware that there's this kind of group from this particular kind of culture, and not this kind of just this culture, like the Mexican culture. Mariachi is prominent even in the States and everywhere in Latin America. So I think it's just exposure to a different kind of music that we're bringing into the community. Now, some people are really happy when they hear a mariachi. Like, for example, we were at La Casa, that's where we rehearsed. They've been good enough and good to us for letting us use their space on Sundays when we rehearse. And there's people that come from different Latin American cultures or just a completely different culture that likes the culture. And the first thing they say is, thank you so much for doing this. We didn't used to have this. If we did, we haven't had this for a very long time. Thank you for reminding me of that song that my grandpa used to sing at the parties or things like that. So I'm not sure if I'm bringing kind of representation to the culture, but if anything, I'm bringing more interaction. I'm bringing people into, I think the right word that I'm using is awareness of this kind of culture within the community that has existed and it exists, but there hasn't been a band that has come around in a few years to kind of emphasize the fact that we're here, or people are here, you know. Yeah. So physically, a mariachi ensemble is composed of different instruments, and at the beginning, when the first mariachi, we didn't have the right instruments. We didn't know until later that there is a department here that had the mariachis in storage for about 10 years. And a lot of the professors didn't know, because some of them have come past those 10 years that they were last used. And so when we started, we had an upright bass player, and we had just guitars, violins, and trumpets, and that's all we had. Originally, the harp used to be the bass instrument, and then it came to the guitarrón. So we have the guitarrón, we have the vihuela. We don't have guitarra de golpe, which is rarely seen to my knowledge, and then we have the traditional guitar that everyone knows. Aside from that, our mariachi has violins and trumpets. Every once in a while, we'll get someone who plays viola who wants to play, and to the general audience, it still looks like a violin. So to reiterate, we have guitarrons, vihuelas, trumpets, and violins, and voice. If we were to add anything, it would probably be a harp. It looks better, and the sound of the harp is beautiful. But I think to a certain extent, we are keeping to tradition. Something that we might not be keeping tradition is the type of arrangements that we're playing. Sometimes we'll play some arrangements of like Sol de Mexico and not something more traditional. Sol de Mexico has a lot of extended harmonies or things like that that traditionalists would say is not part of mariachi. But other than that, we're pretty much keeping the traditional setup. If we were to add anything, we would probably add flute, if possible. But other than that, I think we're pretty much what it should be. Yeah. Yeah. So currently, we're trying to play outside and inside the university, and we're playing at the Sobremesa Farm October 13th. We also are playing for the first Thursdays, November 1st. And then we are playing a few events for La Casa themselves. I can't recall off the top of my head right now. And then we have the December 1st concert. I believe it is at 7 p.m. The flyers will be up soon, and it's at 7 p.m. It's the end of the year concert for Jacob, so it'll be live streamed. So there'll be recording of audio and video. It'll be about 45 minutes to an hour set of the mariachi, kind of a recap of everything that we've done over the years. As far as for the future of the mariachi, I really want it to grow. I really want it to become tradition within the community itself. Whether I'm here or I'm gone, I hope that it stays here. And the people that are learning right now are the people that teach the future generations, and kind of just leave a little bit behind within them. I think that's what I would like for the future of Cruz to be.